You see, Pauline, they thought they could continually intimidate us. Intimidate us, Pauline, and we'd just go away. When they're thugs and war criminals, Pauline. War criminals, Pauline. Now, I've had an experience today, Pauline, with these criminal monsters, Pauline, breaking the law. Blatantly breaking the law. Today, Pauline. But today's not what I want to talk about, Pauline. Like, we'll see that before the Supreme Court of Queensland, Pauline, because of the blatant failure of command in now the Queensland Police, Pauline. Queensland Police, Pauline. Yet again, for the second time, Pauline. We'll approach that next time. But this time, we're going to approach how they've always treated people attempting to self-determine under the rules of the United Nations. Now, we covered that in the last episode, Pauline. So let's just have a quick look at how you've always treated the citizenry, Pauline. The citizenry, the pauperisms for wanting a better standing in life, that you've always denied them, Pauline. That you've always denied them, Pauline.
Is contrary to the Act. I am now warning you that if you do not move along from this location immediately, you may receive an infringement notice. Do you understand that?
Do you understand Crown law?
Thank you, sir.
Do you understand Crown
I'll just call the police in and we'll start issuing tickets. Thank you very much.
Unconstitutional private
See that building behind there? It's a war memorial, Pauline. A war memorial. Okay? And what that police officer's doing right there is committing an international criminal offence by stopping a people from being able to remember their dead at a war memorial, Pauline. At a war memorial. Now, this is Australia Day 2020, when consecration of flag took place in 9 major cities in 50 sort of towns, Pauline. That's a large population defined on the Supreme Court record as having been self-determinable at law, Pauline. And this is how you've treated us the whole entire time. You disregarded the international law that was defined on the Supreme Court record by Justice Lonergan after recognising what was going on in the consecration of a flag that New South Wales Police sought to undermine, Pauline. New South Wales Police framed it as terrorism, Pauline, to self-determine at international law according to international laws, Pauline. And that's a war crime, Pauline. Right from the word go. You're watching a police officer on a war memorial, Pauline, committing a war crime on an occupied people at which you're supposed to administer under the rules of usufruct. And you fail to adhere to any of those rules, Pauline. Any of those rules. Like, let's just listen to him again.
Is contrary to the Act. I am now warning you that if you do not move along from this location immediately, you may receive an infringement notice. Do you understand that?
Do you understand Crown law?
Thank you, sir.
Do you understand Crown law?
I'll just call the police in and we'll start issuing tickets. Thank you very much.
Unconstitutional private.
I don't see a large gathering there, Pauline. I see a couple of stragglers trying to remember their dead. And I don't see a large threat to anything, Pauline. And given that COVID is an international war crime under international humanitarian law Rule 92, we got to have a greater look at what's going on here, Pauline. A greater look at what's going on here, Pauline. Why would the states keep the people in their pauperisms, Pauline? And why would they continually attack people trying to self-determine on an international stage when these Aborigine have clearly failed to do that in any courtroom on the planet, and you ignore the very court record that defines the very curial power that is the naked owner of the very constitution at which you're trying to change right now? And this is the way you treated us, Pauline, and we've had enough of it. We ain't going to put up with it anymore, Pauline. We'll see you before every court under the sun. It don't matter if we end up in a court process for the next 20 years, Pauline. This is where we're at. Okay, men across this country severely pissed off with everything that's been brought about by all of this con and this fraud and this undermining of the very constitution and the curial right as so defined on the court record, and being attacked by these occupying police officers that are supposed to act in peacekeeping manners. Peacekeeping manners. Now, I'm just going to point something out. I'm going to pause for a second, Pauline, and just go and grab some paperwork so I can read it to you, because I think your police officers are severely inept. I think they're a little retarded. I think they need re-educating, like re-indoctrination centres where they could learn the real facts of law instead of the bullshit that their command is telling them to do. Just wait 1 second. I'll go get some paperwork. Just go get some paperwork. So, can't put this on the screen. It's too much of a hassle. Not going to be bothered with too much of a hassle, Pauline. But what is trespass? Trespass forms the basis for many civil torts. Trespass can be as small as going in your pocket and as large as entering your property, and as strange as a vehicle-to-vehicle accident or entering someone's personal space. Plenty versus Dillon. Unlawful entry and trespass to land. Police officers entered property to serve a summons without permission or authorisation from the owner. And this has been happening pretty regularly from what I can witness directly with my own eyes, Pauline. This trespass on the curial right that we have that's defined on a Supreme Court record, Pauline. And these officers don't have that right under a lot of circumstances. I mean, Liverpool versus Haynes sort of limits that right pretty much. And then when we talk about property, I mean, you've got Dumont versus Miller and Bernstein of Lee versus Skyviews and General Limited, and then Vennings versus Chin, and then the big cracker of them all, Pauline, Amstad versus Brisbane City Council, trespass to land. No unauthorised officer to be able to trespass onto land. That means the police and the council, Pauline, and the council. What is private property? Is it private anymore if they're treating it with heritage laws? Whose heritage, Pauline? Whose heritage, Pauline? So we have a problem when your state officers don't follow the law that they're obligated to, and they think they're above the law, Pauline. Think they're above the law. Shall we listen again?
Is contrary to the Act. I am now warning you that if you do not move along from this location immediately, you may receive an infringement notice. Do you understand that?
Do you understand Crown law?
Thank you, sir.
Do you understand Crown law?
I'll just call the police in and we'll start issuing tickets. Thank you very much.
Unconstitutional private.
That's pretty fucked up stuff, Pauline. Pretty fucked up stuff, wouldn't you say? The police think that they can come along and treat civilians in this sort of manner, that they're slaves to the system for some reason. Slaves to the system, Pauline, like they're your pauperisms, are they, that you could just push around and make you silver spooners for some reason? What's that black and white privilege that we've been witnessing in all these episodes? Is that the silver spooning that you managed to scoop out of all of these working class people, Pauline? Is that the scoop, or is that the snow from the cocaine spoon, Pauline? The cocaine spoon. Ooh, the cocaine spoon, Pauline. Ooh. Shall we have a look at something else, Pauline? Because in 2015, something was defined on a court record before David Halpin, fake magistrate of the New South Wales Magistrate Court, Pauline, criminal muppeteer of war crimes galore, Pauline, David Halpin of the New South Wales Magistrates Court, Pauline, caught the fuck out as a war criminal, Pauline. Let's just have a look at what happened after 2015, Pauline. After 2015, Pauline, when I presented before the District Court of New South Wales, and then ended up before David Halpin again, and got muppeted by this man, this muppet, right? This hand puppet for the government. This muppet, we call him, a hand puppet for the government, Pauline. Let's just have a quick look. I'll point something out, pull something up for you, right? Because I don't know if you're aware of this. The War Memorial Project. A project was conceived at the Supreme Court in early 2017 to develop content on the Supreme Court of New South Wales website that records and celebrates the contributions made by members of the legal profession of New South Wales in the First World War, 1914 to 1918. The content will be updated on an ongoing basis as the stories and related materials, photos and audio files are finalised. It is hoped that the materials will be of interest to all, particularly in the lead up to the centenary of the end of the World War, 11th of November 2018. 100 years, the Anzac spirit, like it said on that $1 coin, Pauline, that $1 coin, Pauline. And didn't we get back to that criminal code, Pauline? That criminal code, Pauline. That was a fun one to watch, wasn't it, Pauline? That was so fun to read. Shall we read some of it again? Shall we? Shall we? War crime. Unjustifiable delay in the reparation of prisoners of war or civilians. Do we remember that one, Pauline? Do we remember that one, Pauline? Just hold on a sec. I need to enlarge this one. I need to be able to read it so that you can know. Right, I got it now. I got it. 268. 268. Actually, I don't have it. I zoomed out too far. There we go. A person, the perpetrator, Pauline, the perpetrator. In this case, 6 police forces that were commanded by Matthew Reason of the Fixated Persons Unit of the State Protection Squad of the New South Wales Police Force, Pauline. They're the people that have unjustifiably delayed the repatriation. David Halpin of the Magistrates Court of New South Wales, Pauline. Corrective Services New South Wales. And what was that jibby-jabby mob? Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, was it? Forensic Mental Health New South Wales. Forensic Mental Health New South Wales, Pauline. They're the jibby-jabby mob that did the Rule 92 offence at law, Pauline. At law, Pauline. They all fucking ignore. And when are you going to give this man some compensation for the war crime that you committed against him, Pauline? The war crime you committed against him, Pauline. When are you going to give this man some compensation? Like about $5 million for jabbing him full of your poisons, Pauline. For jabbing him full of your poisons, Pauline. And you think I'm talking about the jibby jabbies during your ovids? No. We're talking about something much more severely evil, Pauline. Severely evil, Pauline. We're talking about Forensic Mental Health New South Wales, Pauline. Long before the lockdowns even started, Pauline. We're going back to 2015, Pauline. We're going back to the very beginning of the lockdowns where you had your little COVID task forces going around making sure people didn't, congregate together. You didn't want people congregating together while you undermine their fucking constitution. Did ya? Caught the fuck out. Caught the fuck out, Pauline. You think these people are going to put up with it? You think these people are going to put up with your war crimes? Your war crimes, Pauline. You think they deserve to put up with it? One or more persons are in the power of, or in turn detained or otherwise deprived of our liberty as the naked owners of our very constitution that you're trying to undermine right now, an adverse party as a result of an international armed conflict. You mean like that occupation and usurpation under Letters Patent 1984, you Pauline? The delay is in violation of Part 4 of the 3rd Geneva Convention, or Chapter 12, Section 4 of Part 3 of the 4th Geneva Convention. That's 2 Geneva Conventions that you've fucked over, Pauline, by not allowing the repatriation of people back to their original constitution, because you want to undermine it. And that's where the other crime came into it, didn't it, Pauline? The other crime of apartheid. Why'd you want to undermine it? Might it have something to do with... Let's go back to that other picture. This court justice and the decisions in a Supreme Court and the recognition of the Supreme Court in the line of authority in those Anzac. Pauline. They're there. And you have David Halpin of the Magistrates Court on the fucking media lying through his teeth because he's a war criminal, Pauline. An absolute flippin' war criminal, Pauline. Shall we jump over to the other act again? Or shall we talk about how attacking people on a war memorial while trying to remember their dead is a war crime in the first place, Pauline? A war crime in the very first.
Is contrary to the Act. I am now warning you that if you do not move along from this location immediately, you may receive an infringement notice. Do you understand that?
Do you understand Crown law?
Thank you, sir.
Do you understand Crown
I'll just call the police in and we'll start issuing tickets. Thank you very much.
Unconstitutional private penetration.
So not only did you speedily repatriate, you denied that, didn't you? You attacked. You went on a military attack of war with 6 police forces under the command of Matthew Reason, therefore committing an international war crime on an international stage, Pauline. And that was recognised by Justice Lonergan, Pauline. So you think we're going away now? You honestly think we're going away after what's happened? We give these justices a true line of authority in the true crown, Pauline. You're administrators, occupiers, war criminals, and fucking thieves, Pauline. And you've used and abused an Aboriginal mob to get your shit done. At their own demise, Pauline, thinking that they're powerful in corporations and stuff. Who's using their corporations and manipulating them? The fossil fuel industry, Pauline. Right? You got caught the fuck out. Totally caught the fuck out. And you think the people should put up with it anymore, Pauline? You honestly think the people should put up with your shit anymore, Pauline? You're kidding yourself. You're totally kidding yourselves. Look at UAP and their slaphead crap. Look at Liberal and their con. Look at Labor and their communist agendas. Look at your failure as one person trying to fix it all. You think the people should put up with this criminal activity any further? I think the United Nations should step in and drag all these criminals away, Pauline. I think the AFP should step in and start charging them with the actual criminal offences they've committed, Pauline. Serious criminal offences they've committed, Pauline. And you fail to address any of them. Fail to address any of them, Pauline, to the point where you've pissed off an entire population, to the point where they want to divide the house. They want you gone. They don't want you around anymore. You gave up all their land to a minority population, giving them the belief that they had power in corporations while fossil fuel industries fucked them over, Pauline. You all set that up. That's why Dutton wants a second voice. He's party to it all, Pauline. Party to it all. This is why they're all scrambling, Pauline. These fucking papists screwed our country, didn't they, Pauline? And they got caught the fuck out. You don't know what to do anymore, do you, Pauline? Because let's go back to that picture again of the Supreme Court justices recognising their line of authority in their Anzac after what I did. I mean, it's in line with the 100th anniversary. Yeah, of course it is. Right, did you build a big fuck-off sword in a stone down in the War Memorial in Melbourne? How many $1 billion did that cost? You think a game playing all of this when you attack the people on the War Memorial in Melbourne on their holy ground, flying their flag, is a war? And you committed a war crime in that war, Pauline. Now you got to suck it up. Now you got to realise the actual rules on the table while all people around me wake up to the fact that I haven't lied to any of them once, ever. Your police have manipulated what I've said and propaganda seeded my entire peoples around me to make sure they never ever figured this out. And what happened? Those thug police officers walked straight into a war crime, didn't they, Pauline? They keep walking into criminal offences because they're inept. They have a failed command, Pauline. They're just scrambling to stay above water, Pauline. Legally. While they think they have guns. Pew, pew. And we'll get to that. Because what's a toy gun got to do with terrorism, Pauline? Is burning the fucking door down of the Parliament terrorism, Pauline? So what the hell has a gun got to do with terrorism if all it does is shoot little plastic fucking beads, Pauline? What's a toy gun got to do with terrorism, Pauline? I'll just pause, let you think for a second. What's a toy gun got to do with terrorism, Pauline? And I'll ask you a second question again. Is burning the Parliament door down on behalf of an activist movement linked to the tent embassy, linked to the undermining of the Constitution, not only an act of war, but an act of terrorism, Pauline? When do you start getting serious, Pauline, and stop treating this like a mockery, Pauline? When do you see national security at the forefront here, Pauline? Or do you allow monetary interests to undermine your Commonwealth with the hand of a minority population and a communist part of your government? War criminals. They got caught out, Pauline, and those justices in those Supreme Courts, they're starting to recognise it, Pauline, while your police still commit criminal offences, Pauline, like they did today on this 6th of September 23. 6th of the 9th, 23. Still committing criminal offences, knowingly committing them, Pauline, and you allow it to occur. There's no grace in you whatsoever as an Australian government. You're thugs and criminals. And you seek at the hardest poi of a gun to do fucking everything you can to keep that stronghold of power. When you got caught the fuck out at war crimes, Pauline, real serious war crimes, Pauline. And I speak these names openly because Matthew Reason of Fixated Persons of the State Protection Squad of the New South Wales Police Force is documented on the Supreme Court record for the war crimes he committed, Pauline. The war crimes he committed, Pauline. And you do nothing about it. You treat it like it's a fucking playground. You really do. And I think it's because idiots run the house, Pauline. They're inept. They don't know this stuff, Pauline. Here's demonstrated by Nicholas Aroney being an ignorant fool, Pauline. An ignorant fool, Pauline, when it comes to the Constitution. And this is your representation worldwide, Pauline, before the international community, Pauline. Wherein you act like children. Wherein you act like children. And don't you think it's time you stopped acting like fucking children and started to show some actual responsibility in the matter and started to actually hire people that had the credibility to do their jobs instead of these clowns? Sarah Hanson-Young, she wouldn't even know how to tie her shoelaces, Pauline, let alone deal with the Constitution, Pauline. How does this eventually happen in this country? Is it got to the point where idiots run the house, Pauline, because we've become that inept at who we are, financially and legally? Financially and legally, Pauline. There's a lot to think about, isn't it, Pauline? There's a very, very lot to think about. Too much to think about for the simpleton. Too much to think about for all those simpletons. So how about as a senator, along with your Senate, you pull your fucking fingers out and start following the law, Pauline. Following the law.